All right. I am here. Good morning, YouTube. It has been, I guess, about a month since my last vlog that I did in December. And I have kept filming. And I would film a vlog, and then I'd never get around to editing it. And then I would film another vlog and try and update my process or update y'all on what was going on. And again, it would go unedited. Or there'd be a mess up with the audio and the audio wouldn't record, or I don't know. It was just like a series of unfortunate events when it came to recording. And I kept feeling like it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And or I wouldn't have the right energy for the day to film, or I wouldn't feel like I looked good enough that day to film. And it was just like one thing after another. And while I was scrolling this morning, I came waiting for my Starbucks. I came across this image, this quote on my Facebook stream and on my Facebook feed, and it said, "The world doesn't need our airbrushed stories or curated, scripted, boring, conforming selves. It needs our truths, messiness, weirdness, creative energy, and resistance." And that's by Kristen Lee. And I believe it was the Tiny Buddha that posted it. So that just really hit home for me and kind of hit on the point that I've been struggling with the last few weeks, like wanting to create content, especially for YouTube, and always feeling like I'm falling short. I often see, I guess, a lot of the content creators that I follow on YouTube have those curated, perfect videos, and I always feel like I don't live up to that. And then it becomes this, well, if I'm not gonna do my best, what's the point? But, and this ties into something I was discussing with my partner last night, that if it's okay not to do my best, even though I know I can do better, I am doing the best I can at the moment. And that's the key I need to remember. So all of that long intro to say, I'm just going to jump into this vlog, and I hope y'all stick around for the ride. So it's end of January. I have not done any of the vlogs that I've wanted to do since the beginning of the year. At least I have not done them to the point that they have made it onto YouTube. I have wanted to talk about what planners I'm using. So I'm just going to go over them real quick. I'm using a Ream 1917. Ream. I don't know. I think there's a lot of like back and forth about how you actually pronounce these. But I'm going to say Ream. But I love the A5 dotteds. I have a whole bookshelf, like a whole shelf on my bookshelf filled with these that I have archived, I have finished using. Sometimes I will go through one in a month, but I started this back at the beginning of the year, and you can see I'm maybe a tenth of the way through. I have not been writing in this as much as I've wanted to this past few weeks, but it has been busy. We have had The kids have been sick, of course, not at the same time or with the same thing. I have been busy just trying to get back into the swing of the beginning of the school year, of the school stuff. So I have this. I usually use this to make meeting notes, my daily to-dos. I've been this might be part of it, I've been moving more towards weekly spreads and just taking notes on the dailies versus skipping over the weekly spreads and just doing daily spreads. I've also been more inclined to do a running weekly to-do list versus trying to put a bunch of stuff on my to-do list each day and being kind of disappointed that I only get to like one or two things. So I'm kind of going back and forth about that, but this is what I've been using for dailies, meeting notes, any sort of handwriting I do for my stories and whatnot usually go in here. So I've been using this. Let's see what else I have in my bag here. I think I grabbed most of the stuff I've been using. Yes. No. Maybe. Yes. There we go. The other planner I have been using is a Hobonichi Han. This is, I believe, something new that they started doing this year, that they put out this year, but I really like this. It's kind of hardcover-ish. It's embossed with the year on the front. It's like on the front there, you can see. I can't see if I can hold this up properly without putting my coffee down because I need the emotional support coffee. It's also embossed on the spine, which I really like because it'll make archiving it really easy. And I loved the floral design they did this year on this one. They had a bunch of different designs, but this one is the one that spoke to me. I have been using this as a health planner. So I started the first 2 weeks off strong. The last week has not gone so well. I have not really picked this up or written in it. I feel that's more on my part though. I have just been, I don't know. It's like I go in cycles. It's like if I want to focus on one thing, another part of my life kind of falls away. And then it's like if I want, like, I feel like the first 2 weeks of the year, I was focusing on my health and my writing, but then my fitness and my training in Toshindo kind of fell off to the side. And I didn't notice it as much because the kids were sick. My son was positive for COVID, but he was asymptomatic. So we were just kind of stuck at home doing our normal routine at home. So I didn't really notice that I was missing it because we were quarantined at home. But then now, this past week, I've tried to get back into training at the dojo, and I've been focusing on my writing and getting Ream set up. I'll talk about that more in a minute. But that means this last week, with the meetings and getting back into life and, everything else, I haven't been focusing on my health. And I'm like, there's got to be a better balance for all this. That is still very hot. And that does not feel like, no, it does have oat milk in it. Okay. So that's just something else I need to work on, is trying to find that balance between health and fitness and extra downtime, self-care time, and writing, and being a mom. There is so much going on. It makes it hard. But I think I can do it. Somehow I will manage it. Other planners. This is one I was not planning on using. If you see what I did there. But in the last week with the virtual writing retreat, Heart Breathing's virtual writing retreat, I found myself wanting this and I kind of created it. I'm still tweaking it. But I've been using a printable writing planner that I've been putting in an A5 binder. This A5 binder is from Carpe Diem. It's like a pleather purple. I just loved it. I had originally put it in my black cloth and paper. No, I don't know. I can't. My brain lost that one. Cloth and paper. Yeah, cloth and paper. I had a black leather cloth and paper A5 rings binder that I was using, but I don't know. It didn't feel right for this right now. So I've been using this one for writing, and I've kind of got it set up for like weekly goals and then divided by my writing goals and then the admin side of my writing business. So that way I can make sure I feel like it's very easy to get caught up in doing all the admin stuff for writing and letting the writing part slide, or vice versa. Because it takes very different mindsets to focus on one or the other. So I will do that. So I have that, and then I have daily pages where I will list out my day's writing goals as well as my word counts, and then take notes. I have a space for notes in this. So it's not just about tracking my word counts, but actually noting what I'm doing in the story for the sprints, taking notes for like, oh, remember to go back and look for this guy's name. Oh, I need to share this chapter with my critique partner. Those random thoughts that relate to my writing and the business side that come up while I'm drafting and editing, I have a place specifically to write them down, so that way I don't get sidetracked and pulled away from the editing or writing session. And I find that really helpful. And then I have a weekly kind of wrap up where I can figure out how many words I wrote during the week, how much time I spent on my writing in general. I can see that, oh, Thursday, I didn't get any sort of writing thing done. But then I can look at my schedule and say, okay, well, I had a spiritual meeting, a Dharma study group that I'm in. I had a hour-long call with my son's therapist. I had, what else did I do Thursday? Oh, and then my son had a play day. So it's like I was either in meetings or out socializing. I really did not get any sort of writing time on Thursday. Okay. So it's fine. Or I can go in and also make a note. It's like, well, Thursday I wasn't feeling good and I took a self-care day. I took a rest day and stayed in bed. So I think it's helpful to see that, so that way when I get to the end of the week and I feel like I haven't done anything, I can go back and say, no, I did do something. I did this, this, and this. Or no, I didn't do anything, but here are the reasons why. It's not that you're lazy. Life got in the way. Your health got in the way, and your health is more important. So that's what I've been working on with my planners. The other planning system, I guess it counts as a planner. It definitely does. I've been using Notion online to organize and kind of create like a second brain for myself. I think I talked about a second brain in a Medium post. I'll link that below. But basically, the idea of a second brain is to have some sort of system that you can dump anything you come across that you may want to reference later, or you have, like, I keep all my addresses in there for Christmas cards and stuff. I keep a list of the kids' activities and meds and clothes sizes, things that I need to reference quickly on the go that I can pull up on my phone app and use. I'm creating a recipe binder of all my family's recipes and stuff, and the recipes that I'm currently trying, with notes and all that sort of things. I'm using it to plan my son's birthday party, but I also use it to plan and create series Bibles and stuff like that. And it's very helpful. I know for those of you who also follow Sarah Cannon, you know Sarah uses it for her business side and personal side. Notion is a great tool. It does have a steep learning curve, but it is a good tool to use if you need something like that to organize information and be able to access it quickly. So with Notion, not only am I using it for that stuff, but the big thing I'm using it for this year is to plan my garden. I'm using it to track my book and reading for 2024. I have a goal to read a self-care book each month, my brain stopped. I want to read a self-care book each month, a writing craft book each month, as well as a few fiction books each month. So I have those. My nonfiction read this month I have loved. It's taken me longer to get through this book though than I wanted to. I put it down for about a week while I don't know, this past week I really didn't read as much until Wednesday, I believe I started picking it up again. And once I picked it up again on Wednesday, like, I got hit. You see all these Post-it notes in there? I ended up putting all those Post-it notes in there on Thursday. And then now I feel like I'm almost done with it. So I'm reading this book called Wintering: The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times by Catherine May. And I've noticed she has a couple of other books that I've already put on my TBR. I will do a kind of reading roundup by the end, at the end of the month, to kind of cover all the books. And I will definitely go through some of these quotes, because these words were some really powerful words I needed to hear. And the whole premise of this book has been amazing and really struck with me a deep chord that I didn't know I needed. It's been one of those books. And I'm going to be highly recommend it to anyone who needs some guidance in dark times where they just feel unproductive and they can't get out of a rut. This is a great book. So those are kind of the things I wanted to talk about. I also I wanted to talk the past few weeks in all those vlogs that I was really struggling with. I wanted to cover kind of what I was reading this month. I wanted to cover my planners, but also I wanted to talk about Ream as well, and my writing and how I'm getting back into my writing this year. Back in November was really the beginning of November was the last time I was really focused on my writing. I started NaNoWriMo, and I felt like I had a good strong start, but things kind of fell apart the second week. And then we went on our Japanese trip, and we came home for and it was Christmas and holiday stuff and getting the house ready for visitors. And then after the visitors left and the holidays had passed, it was like full on recovery mode, and then straight back into getting back into our routines. And then we got hit with sickness and all that. So I really have not been as focused with my writing until this past week or so. I think it was about the virtual writing retreat last weekend that I started kind of getting back on board with my writing. And I'm really happy with what I've been able to accomplish in the last week. And in the last few weeks with Ream. So if you're new and if you haven't heard of Ream Stories yet, it's a website created by authors for authors. And it is kind of like if Patreon and Wattpad had a baby. You know, it's a paid subscription. You can create tiers, but the whole back end is geared towards authors and uploading stories and novels and content, writing content, and being able to publish those on a schedule. There isn't even an automatic scheduler in there, but I can also go in and manually publish chapters or sections of stories to different tiers. I can comment and create community posts for those who follow me. I have just fallen in love with Ream. So I still have Wattpad. At one point in my past, I did have a Patreon, but I really struggled with getting engagement there. I felt like it really wasn't set up for authors, like in a way that authors could utilize it well. And of course, this was years ago before authors were really getting started on Patreon. And I'm sure there's ways to go around the system with Patreon. I'm not knocking it. It just was not a good fit for me. So I'm excited to get started with Ream. And I launched my page before the new year, but at the beginning of the year, I started posting and updating stories to my Ream. And so again, I'll put a link in the description below if you guys want to check me out on Ream. I have been uploading a chapter a week to my stories. Some tiers get early chapters, some tiers get like the latest chapter, that sort of thing. And then I've been editing and uploading chapters as I go. I've been focusing on my urban fantasies, the vampire ones in particular, going up on Ream. So if you're interested in vampire urban fantasy, I like to liken my stories along the lines of the early Anita Blake and Jem Butcher, Dresden Files kind of urban fantasy. So I have that, and over the last week I've thought it would be really cool to offer a free short story to my newsletter subscribers and to those who follow me on Ream. So I am going to be taking the next week to get that short story written, and it's gonna be in the same world as those vampire stories, but it'll be focused on a werewolf pack and kind of their interaction with this particular story doesn't really have a lot of interaction with the vampires, but they play a part in the series with the next book that will go on Ream that I am currently rewriting at the moment as well. So so it's fun, and I want to build on Ream this interconnected series, this world. I am a big fan of like J.R. Ward and Anita, the Laurel K. Hamilton with the Anita Blake series and the Mary Gentry series. I love the Dresden Files. And so I kind of wanted to mesh all these sort of, I wanted to mesh all those sorts of ideas together. And I took one of my favorite vampire characters I've created, Reese, and then his human servant, Jack. And I've kind of created a world around them in Seattle. It's near future Seattle. And, you know, Reese is the head vampire of Seattle. Jack is his human servant. So they're kind of like these top dogs in the supernatural underground world of Seattle. It's very, humans don't really know what's going on with the supernatural. They don't know much about them, or, you know, it's kind of like our kind of take on the supernatural. Like, oh, there's legends, but they're not really real. But, you know, there's witches in the story, there's werewolves, there's, you know, goblins, and all these other kind of different flavors of supernatural in this series, and they all kind of interweave in the story. So I've got Ream going. I'm really excited about all that. Now I feel like I just need to get I need to get my newsletter back up and going. I did send a January newsletter, and I will be sending a February newsletter. So if you're interested in receiving newsletters from me, I only send one out once a month, usually in that second week of the month. But if you want to join me next month, I will be sending out a link to a free story. And yeah, I want to take a turn this year. I want to focus on being more authentic. I want to focus on unmasking and being really stepping into myself and my power. And I hope that this doesn't scare anybody away. I hope. So if you are interested in hanging out with me, please subscribe. My goal is to get vlogs up once a week. We'll see. I am trying to be, how do I phrase it? I want to be authentic, and I want to make sure I have something to say, that I'm not just putting up content to put up content, you know? So it's going to be hard. But this year will be the year. I will be getting books out this year. I'm excited to retake Sarah Cannon's Publish and Thrive course. I've taken it in the past and it was amazing. I know she's updated it since the last time I went through it. So I'm really looking forward to going through the content again and taking it step by step. And if you're interested in joining me at Publish and Thrive and joining Sarah for this round, definitely check out my hype link below. Through that, you can get to all my socials, you can get to my Ream stories, and you can also get to my affiliate links, where if you're interested in joining Publish and Thrive or the HB90 course, you can use my link and I get a little bit of a commission, no extra expense to you. And it just helps support me and my family and me doing what I love to do, which is offer you guys great stories to escape this crazy, hectic world we live in. So anyway, I will see you guys next time. And until then, I hope you have a great winter. Peace, love, and happy writing, y'all.